What do you mean they scare you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just trying to figure out why there's no audio on the stream.
I don't care who you are.
I think there should be now.
Me and my cousin Kenny just had this argument upstairs. He said the world is getting closer. I don't think it is.
How much longer on this?
The fact that they win 97 to 95,
Perfect.
you only beat South Sudan by one.
Did I not trigger something on this?
No, that's right.
Okay.
You're good.
You've seen, though, how the Dream Team faced
I think
like
we're
6 NBA players. So this team faced 60.
I don't care. So
Coming through the
you hear that? That's an excuse.
when you're going
That's
out.
your refuge. I don't care about you.
Did I not trigger something on this?
No,
That's right. You're good. You got 20 seconds.
Professional player is a professional player. I don't know if we got all these European.
You just faced Jokic, who won the MVP, so it's not like it was some random guy. It was Jokic and Bogdanovich and a bunch of other bitches.
They're all random.
If you don't win by 20, Shaq says he's not impressed. And by the way, the host of that podcast said Vitches, not what it sounded like. Vitches with a V. So don't go there, listener. Don't go there, Tolos. He said Vitches. If you don't know, we are live on 97.1 Spartanburg, 97.7 Greenville. Also live on the stream, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. You can find us there. I already see several people in the stream. Madcraft, Brian, JD. Let me know if the audio is better in the stream. I know a couple of Tolos told us the audio in the stream was not there when we started the show. Let us know if it's better now. I don't know that I agree with Shaq on Team USA. In order for them to be as good as the Dream Team, they need to beat everybody by 20. I just don't know that I can roll with that. I don't know that that makes much sense. Why do we set a bar at 20 points that Team USA has to win by? They beat France 98-87. So because they didn't blow France out of the water, they're not any good, right? They're not any good. Kevin Durant against France had 15. LeBron James had 14. Embiid didn't play much. I think he had 4 points. Devin Booker, 15. Steph Curry finished with 24. You did get guys off the bench like Ant with 8. Anthony Davis with 8. Tatum with 2. Bam Adebayo with 2. Drew Holiday with 6. You know, I'll say this. Sometimes people think in professional organizations in sports that just because you have the most stacked and dominant team in the world, you're supposed to blow everybody out. I think there's a lot to be said about chemistry, how long people have been playing together. And again, I'm not making an excuse for Team USA not blowing teams out. They won the freaking gold at the Olympics. That should count for something, right? But Shaq and all these old heads not wanting to give any credit to Team USA because they didn't blow people out, to me, it's a lazy excuse. It really is. I'm sorry if you disagree, but it's a lazy excuse in my opinion. Oh, they didn't beat teams by 20. Well, let me ask you this question. Do you know how many NBA players Team USA faced in the Olympics this year? Do you know? The answer to that question would be 39 NBA players. Okay? So this year's Team USA faced 39 players that play in the NBA. When the Dream Team played in the Olympics in 1992, they played against a total of, you want to guess, Tolos? 71307. Start your text with the word fan. We're also live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Hop in the comment section there. I'm letting you guess before I give you the answer. This year, Team USA faced 39 NBA players in the Olympics. Back in 92, when the Dream Team was so wonderful and so great, how many NBA players did they face? JD guesses 5. No more than that. 9. 9's the answer. So the Dream Team faced 9 NBA players back in 1992. Am I saying the Dream Team was a bunch of scrubs? No, I'm not. I'm not discounting the Dream Team. And I want people to understand when I say this team was in a league of their own, I'm not discounting the Dream Team one bit. I do believe, however, that the Dream Team in 92 was just as old as this Team USA. People say, oh, LeBron's old, Kevin Durant's old, Curry's on the back end of his career. Well, 1992, you had Michael Jordan, Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, David Robinson, Larry Bird, who, if I'm not mistaken, Larry Bird was at the back end of his career as well in 92. Clyde Drexler, Patrick Ewing, Magic Johnson, Scottie Pippen, Christian Laettner, Chris Mullin, John Stockton. The stars of the Dream Team, I'm not going to argue, weren't as good as the stars now. However, when you go to the bench, when you go to the guys who were sitting the bench, John Stockton versus Derek White, Chris Mullin versus Anthony Edwards. John Stockton, Derek White, you can say draw there. I'll take Anthony Edwards, though, all day long over Chris Mullin. I think the athletes that play in today's game are just better. I'll take Bam Adebayo over Christian Laettner, right? Tyrese Halliburton, Drew Holiday. I mean, Dream Team, 92. I'll say it one more time. They were very, very good. Very, very good. But why can't we enjoy greatness now without these old heads like Charles Barkley having to make it about a team from 1992? Because that's what people do. Oh, yeah, this team's good, but they weren't the Dream Team. They weren't the 92 team. No, they weren't. And you know what? The 92 Dream Team, they weren't this team. They weren't. There's a lot to be said, and I've said this many, many times, about appreciating greatness. And I think for whatever reason, people just fail to do so. I know that when you grow up, you have stars and players that you idolize. So those stars and players will remain with you the rest of your life. And you're never going to see anybody better than those players, right? I get that. However, this team, let's not act like they were just a bunch of scrubs. Scotty from BMW. You're taking Derek White over a Hall of Famer. Derek White over who? Who did I say over Derek White? Let me look. Over John Stockton? No, I didn't say Derek White over John Stockton. I said Anthony Edwards over Chris Mullin. Scotty from BMW. Thank you for listening, man. Appreciate you. People think because I like LeBron James so much, I hate Michael. I love Michael Jordan, right? I love Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. Everybody wants to have the Magic and Curry debate now. Who's the all-time greatest point guard? Why can't you love a team and appreciate them without having to diminish their qualities and abilities by bringing up the Dream Teams? All I'm asking. I think Shaq's petty. You know, Shaq's an all-time great. One of the best ever. I love Shaq. I really do. But him saying they're not beating teams by 20, Shaq, you all played against 9 NBA players. This team played against 39 NBA players. That's a lot, man. Basketball is better today than it's ever been. Ever been. So we'll get back to this because this first segment today was a short segment. But I wanted to start with that because it's fascinating. I thought Team USA was really good. Could they have played better? Sure. Could they have done more? Could Steve Kerr have rotated more guys in like Jason Tatum? Sure. But you got all these guys. Somebody has to sit the bench. Going to break a little early, Jeff Farrington, head football coach of North Greenville University, joins us in the very next segment of the program. I want to talk a little D2 local college football with Jeff Farrington and ask the question, how can local college programs benefit from the local high school talent right here in the upstate? We ask Jeff Farrington of North Greenville next.
your fan zone. This is Wire to Wire with Diesel and Bryson on the Fan.
It is Wire to Wire right here on this Monday. So glad to be with you on the Fan Upstate each and every day, 3 to 7 p.m., 97.1 Spartanburg, 97.7 Greenville, anywhere in the world on the free Odyssey app. Let's talk a little Division II college football now with the head football coach of North Greenville, Jeff Farrington. Coach, how are you doing, man? Long time no see. Absolutely. Coach, I want to start with last year, 5-5. You guys struggled at times, a very tough conference you're in. Talk about what you learned from last year and how you and the coaching staff plan to attack this year in a new, fresh way from coming off of, I guess, just a disappointing end to the season last year. Coach, I know that you guys in your tenure at North Greenville, you've had some changes when it comes to the conference that you're in and year out. What are the plans for North Greenville in the future, next 5-10 years, in terms of what you're going to do, stay in or leave in the Gulf South?
Well, we're in the GFC this last year in GFC, Gulf South Conference, and beginning in 25, we will join all of our teams in GU Athletics, our Trailblazer teams, where we will compete in the Conference Carolinas. Conference Carolinas will offer football as a sports in 2025 for the first time, and we will be one of the a lot of the plays you see, but we've got a quarterback back that will be a junior, Dylan Ramirez from Broome High School over in Champions, is a very good football player, grown into the job, thrown into action freshman year until quarterback back, developing our offensive line group. We feel good about that. Having to replace Corey Watkins at running back, and we got a stable running backs that we brought in. We're excited about those guys. Got an all-conference player at receiver with Dre Williams from Greer.
Hey, you got this segment recording? This segment's recording? Perfect.
Transition from running back to wide receiver last year. So,
6 minutes in.
Offensively, we're going to run it. We're going to throw it. We've been multiple and do the things that we needed to do. Hope.
Coach Jeff Farrington joining us on Wire to Wire right here on the Fan Upstate. Football season just a few weeks away. North Greenville, a D2 school here in Greenville County. Coach, you talk about Dylan Ramirez out of Broome High School. Obviously had him on the station when he was at Broome, coming through high school, a very good high school player. what kind of offense? You talked about the spread that you guys run, but what does he specifically allow you guys to do, and what kind of attributes do you expect him to take his game to the next level in 2024?
Well, he's grown so much in his leadership capabilities and just day-to-day dedication. Dylan was a three-sport athlete in high school, a competitor. He is a competitor, but be able to be disciplined with his skill set in football, just day-to-day dedication. Dylan was a three-sport athlete in high school, a competitor. He is a competitor, but be able to be disciplined with his skill set, not just day-to-day way. Dylan was a three-sport athlete in high school. So he can extend plays, step up and drill the football down the field. He's improved in reading progressions. He can throw the ball on the road. So, very good competition, and so there's talent at every school, and we try to combat, and it is challenging from the standpoint of additional schools that have started programs and are starting programs, and there's a lot of really good, and we try to combat in the state of South Carolina and in North Carolina and across the border in Georgia. So it's very, very competitive. But we try to invite every opportunity we can to get guys on campus and through our camps in the summer. And we welcome anyone. We love to have them come see our home games, and what a great environment we have for Division II. I think 2 years ago, our stadium was voted one of the top ones in all the country in Division II. And we have great game atmosphere. And so if you're looking for something to do on a Saturday and you don't want to beat the crowds, come on over, and you'll be surprised at the level of football and how our guys play and people.
Coach, we talk about this a lot at the high school level, but I think it applies at the college level as well. You talk about playing in the Gulf South, a very competitive conference. You have some competitive, very good programs on your non-conference schedule, like the Citadel, second game of the year. I think these games obviously give you and the coaching staff a gauge on where you are, but also I would assume gets you ready for that tough conference play as well.
Play up every year in the FCS opponent. And actually, if you look at the outcomes maybe for the players in the past, you look at it each year on one of those teams on that schedule is above their level in a high way. So you kind of gotta look into it a little bit deeper, but we opened up with an NAI opponent this year that won the national championship in NAI. So with Kaiser coming up from South Florida. So we always play a very, very demanding schedule. Wouldn't want it any other way. And our guys welcome that. They love to meet the challenge, and because we know when we get in our conference opponents, we feel like we're prepared. And, we just want to be able to stay healthy and take it week to week. It doesn't matter who we're playing, whether we're playing Kaiser, whether we're playing Shorter, whether we're playing Citadel, Valdosta State. Each week's its own season. And just try to do as we do.
Coach, my last question for you. You talked about Kaiser coming up in just a few weeks. That is a Thursday night game, September 5th, 7 p.m. here in Greenville County and Tigerville. What's one thing you've been preaching, Coach, to your team that you want to see improvement on before the season does get here in just a couple of weeks?
One thing that we want to do is we want to develop consistency, and I'll give you the coach speak, and we want to protect the ball, but we want to be good tacklers. We're no different, but the big thing for us is we want to focus on our fundamentals, and we want to be a fundamental sound football team. And people play us, they know they play people that are as prepared or more prepared than them, and they got to bring their best thing to stay on the field with us. And
Coach, appreciate your time. Best of luck to you and North Greenville in the 2024 season, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you real soon, Coach. Absolutely. That's Jeff Farrington. Absolutely. Anytime, Coach. That's Jeff Farrington, the head football coach of North Greenville. As he said, they do begin in just a few weeks, September 5th, Thursday night, 7 o'clock kickoff in Tigerville at Yount Stadium. Kaiser University, as he said, NAIA program. Haven't heard of Kaiser, but you heard it in that interview. They not far removed from a national championship. Then they have to go to the Citadel the very next week. They have a very tough, if you don't know a lot about Division II, the Gulf South Conference that North Greenville competes in, that they've been in for a few years, and I believe, I don't know exactly how many years, but they've been in the Gulf South for a few years. The Gulf South, if you ask people who have coached in Division II football, not just here but across the country, they'll tell you it's the SEC of Division II football. It's a very tough conference, and you look week in and week out having to go against West Florida, West Alabama, Delta State, right, Valdosta State. Those are some guys that are on another level. I think North Alabama used to be in the Gulf South. They are now Division I. So it's a very tough Division II conference. Appreciate Jeff Farrington for coming on the program. A great guy, great coach, has been at North Greenville now for 12 seasons. It doesn't seem like that long, but he sure has been there that long, and he's done a great job, very consistent in his tenure there. Appreciate him joining us. Division II football doesn't get talked about as much, obviously, because of where we live, having Clemson and South Carolina in our backyard, and then Furman, Walford, right, those FCS programs. They dominate the headlines, if you will, but some really good Gulf South play. All right, want to take a break. On the other side, what the AP poll got right today, what they got wrong. If you do not know, if you have not heard, the college football AP Top 25 came out earlier today. We'll highlight it and tell you where I think they went wrong. What do they have right? Your thoughts as well. You can text the show anytime, 71307. Start your text with the word fan. This is the Fan Upstate.
Streaming on the free Odyssey app. Search the Fan Upstate, and you're wired to
It is the Fan Upstate. Good to be with you on this Monday. I'm Cole Bryson, Diesel on vacation. The top 25 AP polls were released today. Have you seen them? Well, if not, good news. I've got them for you right here on Wire to Wire. The coaches poll came out, a week ago? 10 days ago now? Were there any differences between the coaches poll and the AP poll? Also, top 25 FCS poll came out today. How about that? Did you see where the local Furman Paladins came into the top 25? If you did not, got it for you right here. The Furman Paladins started the 2024 season ranked number 6 in the FCS coaches poll. So the FCS poll has a local team in the top 10 as well. Is there a local team in the top 10 in the AP poll? That's the question. That's the question. 71307. That's the way you can get in touch with me. Just start your text with the word fan. Again, that's 71307. Phone lines are open during this segment as well. That's 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. So many ways to get in touch with us. We're also live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Let's look at the AP poll. As you can imagine, the Georgia Bulldogs are number 1. No surprise there, right? In the coaches poll, they were also number 1. Throughout the top 5 of the AP, are there any differences between the AP poll and the coaches poll? Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, and Alabama, according to the AP poll. Guess what? Coaches poll was the exact same thing with the Bulldogs, Buckeyes, Ducks, Longhorns, and Crimson Tide rounding out the top 5. 6 through 10 on the AP poll: Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Penn State. Little difference there. Michigan at 9, Florida State at 10. So there's your first difference. There's your first, is that number 8? Let me make sure I said that right. There's your first disagreement between the coaches and the AP poll. AP has Ole Miss at 6. Coaches poll also has Ole Miss at 6. Notre Dame at 7. Coaches poll also has Notre Dame at 7. AP poll has Penn State at 8. The coaches poll had Michigan at 8. Again, we might be splitting hairs, right? One spot. And then the AP has Florida State at 10, and that's also where the coaches poll had them. So Michigan, Penn State, according to the AP poll, were flip-flopped. You like that word, flip-flopped? Flip-flopped around. Michigan 8, Penn State 9. So top 10 of the AP: Florida State 10, Michigan 9, Penn State 8, Notre Dame 7, Ole Miss 6, Bama 5, Texas 4, Oregon 3, Ohio State 2, and Georgia at 1. T Swizzle on the stream. He chimes in where you can chime in as well. He's on the YouTube stream. T Swizzle says Oregon at 3 is crap. They fold every year, and Notre Dame, that's a joke. AP has Oregon at 3, Notre Dame at 7. You know what? I'm with you on Notre Dame. Notre Dame does disappoint, it seems like. However, Oregon at 3, T Swizzle, that might be right this year. And I know in years past, they've been ranked higher than they should be. But they might be as good as they've been in a long, long time in 2024. When you look at the Big Ten, they've got a good shot. Them and Ohio State have a good shot to win it. Dylan Gabriel, you're not going to find many quarterbacks like Dylan Gabriel. I'm with you. I know it does seem like every year they're overranked and ranked too high. I'm with you. I get it. However, I just don't know that this year they're ranked too high. JB says he's correct. Oregon will lose 2 games. Okay. What 2 games, JB? Because I could see them losing to Ohio State October 12th. But Oregon, who in the AP poll, if you just tuned in, we were pulling up and looking at the AP poll that was released today. Oregon was ranked 3. JB and T Swizzle said, whoa, too high on Oregon at 3. Oregon's schedule in 2024. They open with Idaho, the Vandals. I don't think there's going to be any challenges there, right? Boise State, Oregon State. They're going to start 3-0. Then they have a bye. They have UCLA, Michigan State, both programs down. Oregon's starting 5-0. No doubt about it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Oregon is going to be 5-0 going into the October 12th game between them and Ohio State. Which, by the way, if that is that October 12th game, two unbeaten teams, rather, Ohio State and Oregon, what a game that'll be. So if you're finding two losses, I'll give you Ohio State. I think they could lose to Ohio State. I think it'll be a heck of a game. Remember, it's in Oregon, so they have an advantage there. I do believe Ohio State's going to be very good this season. But if you have to find one more loss for Oregon, where does it come? Where do you find one other loss for the Ducks? At Purdue, no way, right? Illinois, no way. November 2nd, at number 9, Michigan. I struggle with this. I said a few months ago that I didn't think Michigan was going to go anywhere. And in terms of national relevance, I don't think they are. Just because they got a new coach, I think they'll still be nationally relevant. However, if you asked me today on August the 12th, Michigan ain't beating Oregon. And I said it ain't. If you say ain't, there's no way it's going to happen, right? Michigan will not beat Oregon on November 2nd. I don't see it happening. There's a lot of turmoil in Ann Arbor, and I just don't know that Michigan's going to have as good as a year as people think. The head coach, Ron Moore, they've got a lot going on, right? We talked about it last week. They've got a lot going on. Oregon, in my opinion, is a better team than Michigan. Then they have Maryland, Wisconsin, and Washington. So going back to, who was that? Was that JB? Going back to JB on the stream, who said Oregon will lose 2 games. I see one, JB. Who's the second? JB says they'll lose to Ohio State and they'll slip up and lose to someone they're not supposed to. That's Oregon year in and year out. And like I said, I hear you. I will not deny that Oregon has been a disappointment, right? However, you just got to look at who they have this year, man. Like, they're going to be stacked. They've got a very good quarterback, one of the better quarterbacks in the country, in Dylan Gabriel. And you know, could they slip up and lose one? Sure. It does seem like every year in the Big Ten, there is a slip up. There's a team that slips up to a Purdue. I don't see them losing to Illinois or Maryland or Wisconsin. Washington, you know, Kalen DeBoer's not there anymore. Michael Penix Jr. is not there. Washington's going to take a step back, in my opinion. But I don't know. I think it's fascinating. I think it's fascinating that people just maybe it's because we live in the Southeast. Maybe it has more to do with our geography than it does anything else. But it's not just T-Swizzle. It's not just JB. I hear it all the time. People aren't high on Oregon around here in the Southeast. It doesn't seem like they ever are. I do think Ohio State wins the Big Ten. But number 3, the AP poll, Oregon being number 3, I don't know that I hate it this year. I don't know that I hate it. They're definitely a top 5 team. If you asked me to move them somewhere, I'd move them down one spot. I'd move them down one spot to Texas. Again, are we splitting hairs here between Texas and Oregon at 3 and 4? I think we kind of are. Quinn Ewers versus Dylan Gabriel. Texas in the SEC versus Oregon in the Big Ten. Both are going to be very good, right? But I can't tell you guys, I can't tell you Tolos, as we sit here on August 12th, that Oregon's not deserving to be in the top 5. I just can't do it. I can't do it with Texas either. Alabama, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. The jury, I guess we can say the jury's out on Alabama now, right? Because Saban's gone. Ole Miss might find themselves in the top 5 quick. But that's where I was going. Before we hit a break, 71307. Start your text with the word fan. My question to end the segment, we have about 6 minutes to go. What top 5 team in the AP poll falls out of the top 5 first? Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, Alabama. To me, there's only 2 answers here. It's Texas and Alabama. Georgia, I don't see them losing and falling out of the top 5. Ohio State, we just said that Ohio State and Oregon on October 12th are probably going to be playing each other undefeated. One of them will have 1 loss. And then you have Texas and Bama. One of those, in my opinion, will be the team that falls out of the top 5 first. I don't see Georgia falling out. I don't see Oregon falling out. Texas has Colorado State, Michigan, UTSA, ULM, Mississippi State, Oklahoma, a bunch of wins. And I know Oklahoma's dominated the Red River rivalry. That's hard to say fast. Red River rivalry. Oklahoma's dominated that. But then they play Georgia. And then after Georgia, they have Vandy, Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky, and A&M. Let's call it like it is. They have a very favorable schedule in 2024. Do the Longhorns, right? They're not falling out first. So I guess if I have to answer my own question, I'm going to go Alabama would be my team that falls out of the top 5 first. It's just hard to convince me that one or the other will do it first, that one of the other top 5 teams will fall out. Let's pull up Alabama. Western Kentucky, UCF, Wisconsin, Georgia. If they lose to Georgia on September 28th, which I think they will, it's an early season game. Bama will go down, in my opinion, in that one. In Tuscaloosa, Georgia will beat them. And Bama will probably fall out of the top 5. I don't think they'll fall far, but if they're 5, they'll definitely fall to 6 or 7. So, yeah, I think Alabama's the shoe-in answer of the team that will fall out of the top 5 first. T-Swizzle says Dogs going down week 1. That's bold. That's bold. I like it, but it's bold. JB says Dogs won't go down until they play Bama. T-Swizzle, don't count out Dabo. Them Tigers at their best, or the Tigers are at their best when they are underdogs. Texter from the 803 chimes in on the text line, which you can do so as well. 71307. Start your text with the word fan. Texter says Oregon's only losses last year were to Penix and Washington. I believe in Dan Lanning a lot and think even though Nix was good, they upgraded at quarterback. Wow. 803, that's a bold statement. Nix was good. They might have. At the end of the day, you might be right. They might have upgraded from Bo Nix to Dylan Gabriel, but I can't say that today. I can't say that on August 12th. When the season's over, though, like I said, you might be right. But, man, that's another bold statement. I like it, though. I like the bold statements from our Tolos, T-Swizzle, texter from the 803, coming in strong. A lot more to get to on the program. I do want to let you know of a programming note, though, that I was asked to promote. If you're going to be in the upstate this weekend, I encourage you to check out the Furman Football Fan Fest. That is this Saturday, August 17th. The gates open at noon. The team will take the field for a scrimmage at 1 p.m. They will have concessions. There will be a post-scrimmage autograph session with the team on the field. And the most important part is that this is a free event. Again, nothing beats free. Furman Football Fan Fest, Saturday, August 17th. Gates open at noon. If you are looking for something for you and the family to do, you can check that out. Coming up on Saturday. Also, Saturday morning, 8 to 10 a.m., another programming note, the Saturday Scramble debuts for 2024 right here on these very airwaves. Saturday Scramble in its 6th season. High school football coverage you won't get anywhere else on a Saturday, right here on the Fan Upstate. JB says, to finish the conversation, I think Clemson will give them dogs a game, but I say they lose by 10. T-Swizzle says, if they can hang within a touchdown going into the 4th, I like our chances, but also if we can keep to 10, we're not losing another game the rest of the season. I think keeping it within 10 against Georgia would be a win. There's no doubt about it. Again, I'm not one to say losing by 10 is a win for Clemson. It's still a loss. But the way that Clemson's expected to lose that game, I very much think if they could keep it within 10, to your point, T-Swizzle, I think they would have a good shot. But again, you're going against Georgia, going against Kirby Smart. If you get it within 10, somebody's got to make a play, right? And obviously, we'll talk about it a lot more coming up. We're going to have David Hood on the program in about 25 minutes. David's going to join us every single Monday at 4:20 during football season. We'll start that today. Coming up next, though, red flags and green flags. Gamecock fans, I need you in the next segment. Text a friend if you're a Gamecock and say, hey, get in on the conversation. Coming up next, 4 o'clock, wire to wire, right here on the Fan Upstate.
This is Wired.
Oh, top of the hour. Top of the hour, none. Okay, got it.
You know, it's amazing when you put something on the Fan Upstate Facebook page, which, by the way, you should go follow, like it, get involved in the comments. You just ask a couple of questions, and then all of a sudden the fans just start arguing amongst themselves, right? That's what we want. That's amazing. That's what makes college football so great. We love the banter between the fan bases. We love arguing, going back and forth between the South Carolina and Clemson fans. That's what makes radio fun, what makes sports radio fun. So I asked the question to lead off the 4 o'clock hour. If you are a South Carolina Gamecock fan, which I know we have a lot of Gamecock fans in our audience here in Spartanburg, Greenville, Gaffney, or wherever you may be listening on the free Odyssey app, I have a question for you. I need a favor. I need your green flags and red flags for South Carolina football in 2024. Basically, what I mean is, green flag means what areas do you feel most confident in? Red flag, you know, they say, no, he's got a red flag, she's got a red flag. What area concerns you the most for South Carolina Gamecock football in 2024? If you're a Gamecock fan, give me your green flags, give me your red flags. We'll have David Hood on the program in about 20 minutes. But between now and then, you can text the show, 71307, start your text with the word fan, or get your green and red flags in on the Renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone. You can call the show, 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-326-3663. I also posed this question on our Facebook page where I do have some comments that I want to get to. A lot of good comments, I thought. Some good comments. Some fans being fans, but some good comments for the most part. I'll give you mine. Let's start with green flags. Let's start with the positive, right? Let's start with the areas that we feel the best about for South Carolina in 2024. What gives you the most assurance, right? What areas do you really feel good? You don't have many questions. I'll tell you my green flags. Number one, I think a really green flag for South Carolina is stability at the most important position. What do I mean? Last year, you had a quarterback in Spencer Rattler. You've had him for the past 2 years, right? And we know Clemson has went through this in the last few years as well. But when you lose really good quarterbacks like Spencer Rattler was, sometimes it's difficult to replace them with guys that compare, right? That are on the same playing field. I think for as much as flack as Shane Beamer's gotten in his tenure at South Carolina, for as much as fans want to criticize Beamer, I would say that one of my top green flags for South Carolina football in 2024 is the stability at the quarterback position after losing Spencer Rattler. Now, I know, you know that Lenore Sellers hasn't played a down yet in 2024. Lenore Sellers might disappoint us all. I get that. He might be really good. I get that as well. I think he's going to be very good. I really do. I think they're going to be a good quarterback. I think they're going to be a good quarterback position in 2024. And what I think most importantly, for while Shane Beamer does have some areas he needs improvement, you have to give Shane Beamer a lot of credit for having a guy like Lenore Sellers follow Spencer Rattler, because it does provide an easier transition. It provides stability at the quarterback position. So that's one of my green flags. I think that's a very good green flag because, as we all know, the quarterback position is the most important position on the roster. Not demeaning any other positions, not diminishing them in any way. But you got to have that guy, right? You got to have the quarterback. And I think the stability there is a green flag. What say you? 71307. We're starting with green flags. Madcraft, you're wrong for this, but I like it. Madcraft says, green flag. They have replaced all coolers with styrofoam. That's terrible. That's terrible, but funny, Madcraft. How dare you take a shot at Shane Beamer kicking a cooler? That's terrible, but I like it. See, I like the jabs. And that comes from a Miami fan, so they don't have much to jab at anyways. All right, also on the stream, on Facebook, Hayden says, for green flag, Sellers, Sanders at running back, and Harbor at wide receiver can be lethal. So I agree with you on two of the three, and I understand Nick Harbor is a good receiver. I like Nick Harbor. I think he's a very good receiver, and I think that he can have a good year for South Carolina. I don't know if he'll have the same kind of season that we saw Xavier Legette have last year, but I think Nick Harbor does have upside, right? I think he does. However, my first red flag, Hayden, I'm glad you brought that up. My first red flag is question marks in the wide receiver room. What do I mean? You know, talking to Shane Beamer throughout the spring, they were looking for someone to step up. They were looking for someone to be that leader in the receiver room. And I think that they have the right guy coaching the receivers now in Mike Furry. I really do. I think he's going to do a really good job at South Carolina. However, I don't know that while you had Xavier Legette last year and while you have Nick Harbor this year, one of my red flags is the receiver room as a whole, right? When you go through the gauntlet of the SEC, South Carolina fans, this is what I want to ask you. When you go through the gauntlet of the SEC, do you feel like you have the dudes? Do you feel like you have the guys at receiver to compete week in and week out in the SEC? And I'm not saying you don't. However, they're unproven, right? And I think that's why it's a red flag for me. There's a lot of uncertainty at the wide receiver position for South Carolina. Could they step up? Sure. Could Nick Harbor be really good? Sure. But as a whole, the uncertainty is there, and I don't know that you have the dudes week in and week out. So that's my first red flag. That's my biggest concern. I think the offensive line is going to be better as long as they can stay healthy, right? They dealt with a lot of injuries last year. As long as they can stay healthy, I think that offensive line room will be a lot better. Quarterback, I think you're fine. Rocket Sanders, I like Rocket Sanders a lot. I think there's a tremendous amount of upside with Rocket Sanders. But I do have question marks with the wide receiver room. All right, let's go to the Facebook page, at the Fan Upstate. If you don't follow and like the page currently, I would encourage you to do so because I do post a lot of our topics, a lot of our segments early on the Fan Upstate Facebook page. You can get in on the conversation there. I posed this same question. Kevin chimed in. Kevin said, green flag for him is the front seven on defense. Okay. Red flag for Kevin in the comment section on our Facebook page. Kevin says his red flag is Dowell Loggins. And guess what? Somebody pushed back. William pushed back and said, hey, how's Dowell Loggins a red flag when his first season he worked with zero running back depth? No proven wide receiver outside of XL. An offensive line that was completely torn to shred by injuries. To use the 2023 season to grade Loggins defies logic. He actually has a full deck of cards for year two. William, if you're listening, I like the comment. I like yours and Kevin's comment both. I think that's a good point. I was not impressed with Dowell Loggins in year one. I don't think many South Carolina Gamecock fans were. I don't think many Gamecock fans were excited, thrilled about what Dowell Loggins brought to the table. Watching South Carolina Gamecock football last year, being with South Carolina fans, a lot of my friends are Gamecock fans, and I heard it. There was a lot of displeasure last year with Dow Loggins. And you might be right, William. You might be right. What he had to work with last year, right? It wasn't the best outside of Excel, outside of Xavier Legette. Texter chimes in on the conversation. This comes from the 641. Texter says, Harbor is fast but unproven. According to some Gamecock fans, before the season starts every year, they have nothing but All-Americans, and they will go, let me click on the text to see the rest of it, and they'll go undefeated. Well, I don't know about that. I don't know what Gamecock fans are saying that realistically. You may have fans here and there say that, but I don't know about that. Wesley on the Facebook page, watching on the live stream, Wesley chimes in on the conversation and says, green flag, they can probably win 4 games this season. Wesley, what's with you and Madcraft taking shots on a Monday at South Carolina? I mean, come on. Come on. I'm trying to pump some positivity into the fan base here. Trying to give South Carolina Gamecock fans something they can be excited about, right? It's okay. If you want to take shots, you can take shots, right? Freedom of speech. Take shots. Take all the shots you want, Wesley. They'll probably win 4 games. They will win 4 games. There's no way South Carolina doesn't win 4 games, right, Wesley? There's no way that doesn't happen. There's 3 non-conference opponents, right? Old Dominion, Akron, and Wofford. Those are 3 wins. They're going to beat Vandy. So I know you can't use the word guaranteed in sports anymore, but they're guaranteed to win 4 games. South Carolina's not losing to Akron, Old Dominion, or Wofford. They're not losing to Vandy. So they're going to win 4. And I think they have a chance to win 6. We said it last week. We did, Diesel and I did our predictions for South Carolina in 2024. I have them winning 6 games. If you missed that, you can go back and listen on the Odyssey app with a rewind feature. It's a free app, AUDACY. But I think they do win 6. Where those 6 wins come from, rather, you and I can debate. You might have them losing to Kentucky on the road. I think they will beat Kentucky this year, and I think they'll beat A&M. And by the way, stay tuned for our Daily Wires. Big blow to A&M's team that I'll tell you about in our Daily Wires coming up in just a little while. T. Swizzle says, everyone thought that about the Citadel too. I know, but this isn't the same team. They're going to win 4. Wesley says, seriously, go through their games and you can only give them 4. They usually get 1 random win too, so I'll give them 5. Wesley, I think there's 4 locks, but can you not agree that you think South Carolina has the ability to beat A&M at home? They have the ability to go on the road and beat Kentucky. I think they can. I think they certainly can. Will they? I don't know, but I think they can. Can they upset somebody they're not supposed to? Well, certainly there's no way they can beat Clemson, right? Well, they did 2 years ago. So nothing's off the table. 6 is a stretch for me, but I think they win 4 or 5. I think they win 4 or 5 games. There's 4 locks, but I definitely could see 5. I could see 5. All right, go back to the text line. 934 says, my red flag is Shane Beamer and his staff he put together is underwhelming. Really, Texter? Really? You think the staff's underwhelming after the hire of Sean Elliott and Mike Furry? Because I think those are good additions. I think those are really good additions. I think you couldn't have made a better hire with Furry and Elliott. So, Dow Loggins, I think the jury's still out on. I think we have to be fair on that one, Texter, from the 934. I think the jury's still out on Dow Loggins, and that's fine. That's fine if it is. But I think he's done a good job in the offseason of bringing in 2 guys that will contribute and make a big difference, as Mike Furry and Sean Elliott already have. Okay, let me go back to the Facebook page. I want to get to a few more of these. William, on our comments section, says, green flag, lots of upperclassmen on this roster. He says, red flag, wide receiver, and place kicker. I don't know if you're being serious about place kicker or not, but I don't know. I haven't heard Shane Beamer express much concern with place kicker. Let's see. You can chime in, 71307. Start your text with the word fan. I'll get a few more of mine, and then I believe we do have somebody on the renewal by Anderson, the Carolinas fan phone. We'll get to that in a second as well. So my first green flag was stability at the quarterback position after losing Spencer Rattler. Now, somebody brought up on the text line, Rocket Sanders. My second green flag is the upside, the potential that Rocket Sanders can bring to this offense in 2024. My third green flag is the improved, I put in quotes for now, right? You never know, healthy offensive line. As of right now, knock on wood, they're healthy. They were not healthy last year. So those are three green flags that I do give South Carolina heading into the season. The stability at the quarterback position after losing Rattler. I think they did a good job of replacing him. The potential of Rocket Sanders. And the improved and for now healthy offensive line. Red flags. Questions at wide receiver. And my second one. I agree with you, whoever said it. I think it was on our Facebook page. Play calling. Dow Loggins. He is, for me, a red flag. Let's go to the phones. 844-FAN phone. That's 844-326-3663. Who do we have? Dewey. What's up, man? Dewey. I appreciate the phone call. That ain't happening. I love your enthusiasm, though. Dewey says Beamer's going 12-0. So there's your daily Dewey. 844-FAN phone. That's 844-326-3663. South Carolina fans, be like Dewey, right? Be like Dewey. Tyler B says win 4 games and the new champions of life. Man, y'all are really trying to get the South Carolina Gamecock fan base stirred up, right? We'll get back to this. More red flags, green flags. We'll get back to it a little bit later in the show. We will have time for it, but we have to run. David Hood, every Monday, 4:20. No better Clemson insider than David Hood. Next.
We're going full throttle. Dripping and ripping, baby. Yeah.
The Clemson Tigers got a little scrimmage in on Saturday, and Dabo Swinney spoke to the media following that scrimmage. Every Monday during football season, we are privileged and excited to bring on David Hood of TigerNet.com. We've had David on many times throughout the spring and summer. David, number one, we appreciate you coming on. Look forward to this season. Really respect and appreciate what you guys do at TigerNet. You do a tremendous job, and we're honored to have you on during the football season. Absolutely. David, talk about a new addition to TigerNet. I have followed you as well as your new addition in Grayson on Twitter. You guys seem to be growing and doing it with some really good sports writers. Absolutely. I love living by that motto. Ask for forgiveness instead of permission. We're joined by David Hood of TigerNet.com. David, Saturday, it was closed to the media, but the scrimmage itself, I heard from the media, went good. Did you get a chance to get a feel from what improvements the Tigers made on Saturday? No doubt about it. That's one thing that obviously a lot of Clemson fans would like to keep an eye on. And that all starts with the quarterback, Cade Klubnik. We've heard so many good things about Cade throughout the spring and summer and throughout this small part of fall camp. Do you feel like that the conversations, David, that have been had about Cade's improvement, do you feel like there's substance to that? Because I think Dabo Swinney said it best to us a few weeks back at the Clemson Media Day when he said, look, Cade's improved, but the reality of it is we've got to see it on the field, right? Do you feel like the interceptions and turnovers are the biggest red flag? Like last segment before we brought you on, I was doing red flags and green flags for South Carolina football in 2024. Would Cade's biggest red flag be the turnovers? David, I want to ask about Jaden Lucas. I saw you reported over the weekend that he was out Saturday, listed as day-to-day. Is he by the way, a Malden grad right here in the upstate? If our Tolos did not know, Jaden went to Malden High School. Does Jaden have enough, in your opinion, and from what you've heard, to be of immediate impact in 2024? Mm-hmm. David, one of the better running backs that I saw in the last 5 years at the high school level, I cover a lot of high school football here in the upstate, and Jarvis Green at the high school level was just a different kind of guy. He was an animal. I know that behind Maffa, there's a competitive battle going on, but do we as Clemson fans and people in the upstate, residents of the upstate, do we expect Jarvis Green to be able to compete for that too, or is it maybe really as tight as Dabo says it is behind Maffa? Hmm. Speaking of a large group, you reported on Saturday. By the way, you can follow David on Twitter if you don't do so already at @MDavidHood. You reported Saturday that Sweeney says there's a group of 6 wide receivers that could start. 5 have started before, plus Bryant Wesco. Is this a good problem to have with the receiving group? Hmm. David Hood, senior writer for TigerNet.com. He will be joining us during the season starting today on Mondays at this very time, 4:20. Put it in your calendar, put it in your phone. Clemson fans in the upstate, David Hood, absolute best Heisman voter. David, when you look at the AP poll that came out today, it has Clemson at 14, Florida State a conference foe at 10, and then behind Clemson a little ways at number 19, you see Miami. Any surprise there? And in your opinion, is Clemson the 14th best team in the country? And that's where I'll go for my last question for you, David. As you said it, we are just under 20 days now from that August 31st matchup in Atlanta. From the time the schedules were announced until now, today, Monday, August 12th, has David Hood's thoughts on this Georgia game changed, or has it just been the same? David, great stuff as always. We really look forward to having you on during football season. You do great work. Where can people and fans find your work as well as work of your colleagues? He's a good interview. We had him on last week, David, and Gary. Man, when you start talking, I'm sure you'll talk to him about it. But when you start talking about the charities, man, the amounts of money that Gary and those associations have raised for charities over the years, it really blows you away. David, we'll talk to you next week, man. We appreciate you. Absolutely. That's David Hood, senior writer for TigerNet.com. As I said, you can give him a follow on X at @MDavidHood. Go right now, give him a follow, let him know you heard him on Wire to Wire right here on the Fan Upstate. Diesel is on a little vacation this week. He'll be back next week. You know, a lot to react to what David said. I think that starting at the tail end of the conversation with Georgia, I think he's right. I think Georgia, you look at it on paper, right? Team versus team. I think Georgia can say definitively that they're better on paper at just about every single position than Clemson. We know, you know, our Tolos know, the games aren't played on paper. We've seen upsets before, but you can't deny, even if you are a Clemson fan, that you're going into this game completely outmatched in just about every single category. I believe Dabo Swinney knows that. I believe anybody with a brain that follows college football knows that. Dabo Swinney has made no bones about it. We talked to him a few weeks ago in the media session, and he said, look, all this is great. What Cade's done to improve, everything's fine and dandy until you get on that field against Georgia, right? They're the great equalizer. It doesn't matter how good of a 3-4 week stretch of practice you've had. It doesn't matter what improvements your quarterback's made or your running backs. I know it matters long term, but when you go out on that field against Georgia, here's the problem. If you get walloped on August 31st, the conversation about Cade Klubnik improving and this team being better than it was last year, that's going to be a hard conversation to have. That's going to be a really hard conversation to have if you go out there and get mollywopped by Georgia. Because, like, if you don't show any signs of life, if you don't show any fight whatsoever, how are you as a Clemson fan going to be able to convince South Carolina fans, America, college football as a whole? How are you going to be able to convince them that things are different in 2024? That you have a better head on your shoulders at the quarterback position? That your quarterback's not going to make as many mistakes? Because against Georgia, people make mistakes. If you go out there in week 1 and make a lot of mistakes and Klubnik doesn't look good and Klubnik doesn't look improved from last year, guess what? The narrative is going to stay the same. And not only the narrative of Cade Klubnik, but the narrative of Dabo Swinney and the ship, SHIP, of Clemson having sailed. Because that's the reality. Perception is reality, right? And if they go out there and can't hang with them dogs, the perception of Dabo Swinney at Clemson is going to continue. That narrative's going to continue to be pushed in a negative direction, that Dabo's lost it. Dabo can't adapt. He doesn't use the portal. He can't compete with the big dogs, literally, anymore. That's what's going to happen, like it or not. And I think it's a terrible time of the year for Clemson to play Georgia. I think Cade Klubnik needs confidence. And, man, I hope he gets confidence aplenty during these next few weeks, because he's going to need it. If you have 6 weeks before you play Georgia, maybe it's different. Maybe you've built up some confidence. Maybe you have a little bit of swagger built up. Maybe you've done some really good things that you can build on. But, man, playing them right off the bat, it is tough. It is tough. And as we've said it once, we've said it a million times, Clemson's going to find out very quickly what this 2024 season is going to look like. All right, what happened with the Braves over the weekend? What happened in the Olympics? Well, we'll get to all of that Daily Wires next.
Unfiltered story.
Happy Monday. Also, a lot of the kiddos in Spartanburg, Greenville, I know went back to school today. If we have any Tolo teachers, happy first day back. Buddy of mine and I were hanging out yesterday. He's a teacher, basketball coach, and man, I didn't realize it. It snuck up on me. I didn't realize it was already time for school to start back, but it's here, and best of luck to you. All right, it's now time to get you caught up on what's going on in the sports world. We call them the Daily Wires. I love the Daily Wires, except for when the Atlanta Braves lead the charge. Atlanta Braves, well, they dropped 2 of 3 to the Colorado Rockies over the weekend. I said on Friday, surely they're not going to drop 2 of 3 to the Rockies. However, what do? They dropped 2 of 3 to the Rockies. This might be rock bottom. This might be it for the Atlanta Braves. They are now 60-55 on the season. So, you just have those years. And Braves fans, look, we're having one of those years, okay? It's a tough one. The USA women defeated France yesterday to win the gold medal 67-66, a nail-biter. Not only in the women's, but the men defeated France on Saturday to win the gold medal, 98-77. Steph Curry led the team with 24 points on Saturday, even though he didn't win Olympics MVP. Wow. He should have. I'll admit it. I'm a LeBron fan. He should have won MVP. Bad blow. I teased this earlier in the show, but a very bad blow to an SEC running back that was expected to see a lot of playing time this season. Texas A&M running back Reuben Owens is expected to miss the season after suffering a significant lower body injury during a scrimmage on Saturday. So big blow to A&M. Austin Dillon, wow, this was incredible. Gets the win last night in Richmond after wrecking Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano. Look, we cover NASCAR on this show about once a week, just to be quite frank. We know that there are Tolos in the audience that watch, cover, follow NASCAR. And I do to an extent. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to be the radio host that tells you, oh, I watch every race. Oh, we cover it, so I watch every race. I watch start to finish, wire to wire, right? No, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't. In fact, I will usually turn on the last, 50, 60 laps, because I do think the endings are fun. This year, we've had some crazy endings. So my point is, if you're a NASCAR fan and you saw last night's race, Austin Dillon deserves everything bad he has coming to him. Absolutely ran up on Joey Logano and then just got into the right rear, I believe it was, of Denny Hamlin, spun him out. Had no business winning that race on the final lap last night. And I know before the last caution, he was already leading. I get it. But what Austin Dillon did last night was reckless. It was bush league. It was pitiful. And I was not a fan of just wrecking everybody in order to get the win. That's not racing to me. You may consider it racing, but that's not racing to me. Texter says Stephen Curry showed up for 6 quarters. LeBron was the best player on the court every single game. Come on, man. Listen, 5, 6, 7. I'm a LeBron James fan. I'm with you. I love LeBron. He was there. I understand. Steph, for the last 2 games, he showed up and showed out. LeBron was there every game, and I get that. That's a fair point, Texter. I understand that. But 5, 6, 7, Steph Curry balled out Saturday. I mean, he balled out. It was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. So I hear you. I know. I'm a LeBron fan, so I'll agree with you there. The Braves are back in action tonight at San Francisco. The game begins at 9:45. Chris Sale on the mound tonight for the Bravos. I'm to the point now with the Braves where I believe every Braves game should either be televised at noon or midnight. Just pick a time. But let's decide on 12. You decide if it's AM or PM. I don't know which would have worse ratings. But noon or midnight is where I am right now with the Atlanta Braves. They're terrible. They have zero, and I mean zero desire to actually put a good product on the field. It's uninspiring baseball, and I mean terribly uninspiring baseball. I started Friday's show when Diesel was still here. He's on vacation this week, by the way. I started Friday's show by saying it was time. It was time to fire Snit. It was time to rip the Band-Aid off and get rid of Snicker. And I think it's time. I really do. I really believe it's time. We'll get back to that because they're a dumpster fire right now. So we'll see. They're just continuing to reel. The Mets will probably get the wild card, and the Braves will suck. So it is what it is. And then lastly, the United States came out on top in the Olympic medal count in Paris with a stunning total of 126 medals, including 40 gold. So we did not let China take the medal count. United States came out on top in the medal count, so that's good to hear. Very, very good to hear. All right, one of the most interesting, one of the most intriguing pieces of information, pieces of audio over the weekend. Deion Sanders, CBS. He would not answer the question from the reporter. It was a fascinating conversation between him and the CBS reporter. I'll have the audio. I'll give you my thoughts next.
Have you watched the Olympics with crumbs on your shirt?
Electrifying sports talk from start to finish. With Diesel and Cole Bryson.
Quick programming note for you Tolo Gamecock fans. Put it on your calendar. Listen, Wire to Wire is already on your calendar if you're a Tolo, right? That stands for Turn It On, Leave On. Turn on, leave on. That's what we ask you to do. Right here on these airwaves, turn it on, 3 o'clock, leave it on till 7 until we go off the airwaves each and every day, Monday through Friday. And back to my programming note. I got sidetracked. Shane Beamer, Friday, 3 p.m. right here on the Fan Upstate. So we will talk Gamecock football each and every day leading up to it, as we do most days on the program. But we'll be joined by the head football coach himself on Friday at 3 o'clock. So put it in your phone, put it on your calendar, Shane Beamer on the Fan Upstate this Friday. Texter, this comes from Trey in Kentucky, says Daily this one, I can't even read it without laughing. Texter says Daily Dewey should be renamed to Daily Dookie. Dewey, you gonna let him do you like that, man? You're gonna let him do you like that? Dewey did have one good call on, what was it, Friday, when we were talking about the Braves. I actually agreed with him, and he had one good call. But some days he's, like today, a little off the rails, 12-0. So, yeah, that's Dewey. So Trey says rename it to Daily Dookie. Trey also says Deion showed himself to be a true horse's rear end. So that's what I want to get into. Deion Sanders. I am a Deion Sanders fan. I really am. And no, it's not just because he played for the Cowboys. No, it's not just because he wears cowboy hats and looks good doing it. It's because I like him as a player. I liked him then. I like him as a coach. I like him as a person. Does Deion Sanders do things that I don't agree with? Sure. Does Deion Sanders, in my opinion, need to have a little bit more grace toward people? Sure. Sometimes it comes across as if Deion really does get his feelings hurt. And I'm just calling it like it is. I'm a Deion guy. I have argued on this show many, many times that I think Deion Sanders is built for a big-time job. So I want your thoughts, Tolos, on what happened last week with Deion Sanders and a reporter, a little beef between a CBS reporter. Here is the audio in case you have not heard it.
Eric Christensen with CBS Sports Colorado.
CBS,
Tyler,
I'm not doing no CBS. Next question.
Jumping in my
I got nothing to do with you. It's above that. It got nothing to do with you. I got love for you. I appreciate you, respect you, and got nothing to do with you. They know what they did.
I'm here in Denver, not Nashville.
You are who you are. And CBS is CBS. All right. Jumping in my last question. I respect you. That's why I told you I love you.
What they did was foul, says Deion Sanders. What is Deion Sanders talking about? Well, a few weeks ago, in fact, last month, in the month of July, CBS Sports ranked Colorado's Deion Sanders as the second worst Big 12 coach in 2024. Ooh, boy, the second worst. You know what? Deion Sanders is not the second worst Big 12 coach in 2024. Okay? He's not. I don't have a list of every Big 12 coach pulled up, but I can tell you this. If you asked me to pick between Deion Sanders and the field, there's few that I'm going to pick from over Deion Sanders. So, going back to the audio that you just heard, Deion Sanders was frustrated, clearly, and he refused to answer a question from a Denver CBS affiliate. That would be I'm not sure if this Denver affiliate was for print only or if it's a radio station in Denver that's a CBS Sports affiliate, kind of like we are here at the Fan, CBS now, Infinity Sports Network. I'm not sure exactly what his role is and if he's in print media, this reporter that I'm talking about, or if he's in radio. I'm not exactly sure. But because he had the CBS affiliation with his title, Dion refused to answer a question. So that'd be like this. I'll give you a good example, okay? Before the Fan Upstate switched from ESPN to CBS, it was ESPN Upstate, right? When I started this station in 2019, it was ESPN Upstate. And I think in 2021, is that right? 22 sometime, it switched from ESPN Upstate to CBS Sports. And now CBS Sports is still a CBS Sports station. They've just rebranded to Infinity Sports Network. So that would be like me or anybody from this station, Diesel or Rob Brown, going to a press conference with Dabo Sweeney or Shane Beamer and asking a question and saying, hey, this is Cole from ESPN Upstate or Rob from ESPN Upstate or Diesel, so on and so forth, right? Well, whatever coach we're interviewing is upset because somebody at ESPN made a negative comment about this coach. Well, the coach tells us, hey, look, I'm not answering your question because you have ESPN in your title. Well, it's like the guy said in the audio you heard. Look, I'm in CBS Denver. I have nothing to do with the guy or whoever it was that ranked you as the second worst coach in the Big 12. I don't work for them. I don't work directly for them. So Deion Sanders is upset that when you talk about guys like Dave Arnott, Matt Campbell, Mike Gundy, Sonny Dykes, who else? Who else is in the Big Ten? Scott Satterfield. I can't remember. I'm just naming guys. I might have misspoken once or twice. Don't tell Deion that. But my point is, Deion was very much offended that he thinks he's a better coach than next to last. And I agree with Deion to that point. I agree with Deion Sanders that he's not the second worst coach in the Big 12. He's not. I don't think any of our Tolos in our audience would even go as low to say he's second worst. Whoever wrote that for CBS, they don't know what they're talking about, right? That's clearly not true. He's not the second worst coach in the Big 12. So this was Jeff Hauser. He wrote this article on the 4th of July last month, and Jeff said, the Big 12 prepares to add schools from the four corner states and says goodbye to Oklahoma and Texas, new coaches for 2024 as the league underwent a significant makeover. Among the league's 12 incumbent programs, Houston stands as the sole exception to coaching continuity, with Willie Fritz stepping in from Tulane to lead the Cougars. Utah's Kyle Whittingham is the most successful of the four coaches joining from the Pac-12. Deion Sanders is set to attract significant attention as he takes the helm of Colorado, a Big 12 charter member, re-entering the league it originally helped establish. He goes on to say, Arizona and Arizona State also bring new energy, led by Brent Brennan and Kenny Dillingham, respectively, both eager to make their their mark as Power 4 coaches. Deion Sanders was ranked, Jeff goes on to write, as one of the worst coaches in FBS, according to CBS Sports staff. He came in the second worst in the conference, ahead of Dillingham, and 61st overall in major college football. Somehow, Nebraska's Matt Rule was 29th overall after having a similar season in Lincoln. Here's what they said about Coach Prime. Sanders, first season as an FBS coach started with a bang, but ended with 6 straight losses. He's generated buzz and excitement by taking a big game and collecting strong transfer talent, but the foundation has cracks. See the offensive line for one example, as the Buffaloes transition to the Big 12 and will face another tough Big 12 schedule. I will say my opinion on the audio that you just heard, and I'll play it again for you in just a second. But my opinion on Deion Sanders not allowing the reporter from a Denver CBS affiliate to answer the question, to me, it's Bush League. To me, it's salty. To me, it's petty. Deion, in my opinion, I've always thought of Deion Sanders as higher than that. I've always thought Deion would be able to handle a moment better than that. Do we all make mistakes? Absolutely. Do we all handle moments badly? Absolutely. Do we all have moments we wish we could go back and redo? Absolutely. I think that's one of these moments for Deion. I really do. I don't know in his heart of hearts if he's proud of the way he handled that. Texter from the 432 says it's more than one reporter in the Deion press conference. He went after 3 reporters, actually. Well, Texter, I did not hear that him go after the other 3. I just heard the one with CBS, where he refused to answer the question. Texter says this comes from the 434. If this was Beamer, it would be how he wears his feelings on his sleeves. Deion was wrong, says John Dog. Where do you weigh in on the conversation? I think it was a little petty of Deion to go after that reporter the way he did and refuse to answer his question. You can text the show, 71307. Start your text with the word FAN, F-A-N. That way we will see it on the text line. You can also chime in on the stream. There's a good amount of Tolos in the stream right now. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's where you can join the stream there. One more time, Ben, if you don't mind firing cut number 3. This is, again, Deion's response when a Denver CBS reporter wanted to ask him a question. So I'll tell you what I would have done in that situation. If I were that reporter and Deion responded to me that way, I would have put my laptop, closed it up. I would have put it in my bag, my laptop bag. I would have gathered my belongings, and I would have quietly walked out of the room. I would have exited the room. Here's why. What reason do I have as a reporter to stay in this room, to stay in this press conference, and listen to you speak if you don't respect me enough to answer a question that I had zero to do with this Sports Illustrated CBS ranking? Deion's exact words were, I respect you as a man. I have love for you. Well, guess what? I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I'm not going to be a radio host that sits here and just tries to believe another narrative just so I don't ruffle any feathers. I'm going to tell you how I feel. And that's what I'm doing. I think it was very, very much petty for Deion to act the way he did and to pretty much just lie to him in his face and say, I have respect for you. You are who you are. What does that even mean? What does that even mean, Deion? He just told you he's not with CBS Sports nationally, okay? He just told you he's with CBS out of Denver. 2 completely different entities. When we were still the ESPN Upstate, if I asked a question to a coach, I would have zero affiliation with, let's say, for example, Tom Luganville, who works for ESPN, who does a great job. That makes no sense in my mind for Dion to reject the question from a local reporter because of 3 letters. 3 letters, man. 3 letters is the reason. And I just think it's so bad that Deion Sanders, for as good as a guy as I believe he is, because I told you at the very beginning of the segment, I'm a Deion guy. I just think it's such a bad look for him to get up there and act like he can't accept some negative comments. Because at the end of the day, Deion Sanders' job, whether he thinks he's the best coach in the Big 12 or the worst coach, his job is to win football games on Saturdays, right? That's his job. That's why they brought him to Colorado. Him getting his feelings hurt because someone from CBS had him at next to last out of all the Big 12 coaches, I thought he would handle it better. I thought he would be more professional. I expected more out of him, right? This isn't 25-year-old Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders has had to face media criticism his entire life. From his days in college to his playing days in the NFL, this is nothing new for him. So why does his agent, I'm not sure how old Deion is now off the top of my head, but why does this bother him so much that he doesn't have the respect and decency to say, look, man, oh, you're not from CBS National. Oh, okay, I will answer your question then. Or say, hey, look, I don't agree with what your employer said, but I'll still answer your question. What do you think Deion should have done differently? Or do you think Deion was in the right? Because I'll welcome both sides. I really will. 828 texts into the show and says Sanders should have said, thank you for coming today, but when it comes to anything CBS related, I will not answer, but I will speak with you privately after the press conference, says the texter from the 828. I don't necessarily disagree with that 828. I think that again, my problem with it is him not answering a question from this reporter. It's not like it's the same affiliation, the same parent company that this guy works for, right? If it were a nationally CBS syndicated reporter or somebody who worked for CBS National, yeah, I could get it. I could understand it. But after Deion refused to answer the question, the guy said, look, I'm here locally in Denver. At that point, I would have liked Deion to say, oh, look, my bad. I didn't know that. My mistake. Go ahead with your question, right? But no. He says, respect for you, love for you, but what they did was wrong. John Dog texts into the show. Cole, you wouldn't leave. You won't even send your food back when it's wrong. John Dog, come on. What do you mean? I won't send my food back. Is that from the 5 o'clock fight the other day? Is that what you're basing that off of? Because if it is, you might be right. If it's completely wrong, if my food's completely wrong, I'll send it back. But if it's something minute, if it's something small, I'm not going to send it back just because. Texter says Sanders is still 25 years old. Look, I think that's probably a little off. I'll say this. At the end of the day, Deion Sanders can say what he wants, right? As long as Colorado's okay with Deion Sanders being who he is, he can say what he wants as long as it's in the realm of, making the Colorado program look good, making the players look good. And for the most part, he's done that. He's been a good coach. I don't think people realize, and Diesel and I have talked about this, I don't think people realize just how big of a task it is to go to Colorado and win football games. Like, that is a huge, huge task. So for us to expect that Deion's going to go up there and win 6, 8, then 10 games, I think that's a little far-fetched. People who expect him to win 6, 8 games this year, you have to look at reality. Yeah, he's done a good job with the portal, but at the end of the day, it's Colorado, man. This ain't Florida State. This ain't Texas A&M. This ain't even South Carolina. It's Colorado. So again, I want to say it again for the third time. I love Deion Sanders as a college football coach. I think Deion Sanders brings a added and unique element that college football needs. I really believe that. However, as we all do, we say things we regret. I mess up and say things I regret all the time. Deion said it behind a microphone, and I believe that he will regret the way he handled that conversation. Wesley on the stream on our Facebook page says, remember when Deion was all nice and fun? Well, that was when they were winning. His true colors show when he's not successful. Well, Wesley, I'll say this. Everybody, every coach is going to be having fun. They're going to be nice when they're winning. Nobody likes to lose. So, to your point, yeah, you're right, but nobody likes to lose. Nobody's going to be happy off of a 4 or 5 win season, right? Wesley goes on to say maybe successful isn't the right word because he has done a lot for Colorado and won more games than they did previously. He has. I don't know if his expectations outweighed reality. I don't know that he had – I don't want to say that he can't win there. I don't want to say he can't do it at Colorado. But I think it's a huge challenge. I think it's a huge, huge challenge. And you know what, Wesley? The way they started out last year, I bet at one point it went through Deion's head that, man, I can do this. I can get Colorado to where we need to be. I can do this. Because when they were 3-0, let's be honest, before they got swept and before they got swept under the rug, rather, by Oregon, they were all that was being talked about by everybody. Everybody was talking about Deion Sanders. Texter 828 says, Wire to Wire must be a Colorado NIL contributor. 828, I love the text. How did you know? How did you know that Wire to Wire here in Greenville, South Carolina contributed to the NIL of Colorado? Look, man, I'm not a Deion apologist, but I'll be fair about it. I like him. I think he made a mistake, but I like him. Am I being too nice about it? Is that what you're saying? Texter from the, let's see, 516. Do we still get the Friday high school football rundown that Cole did as a guest last year? When does high school football start for the Upstate? Texter, good question. We talked high school football on Friday of last week, and yes, we will still incorporate high school football into this show 3 to 7 every single day right here on the Fan Upstate. Week 0 is next Friday, not this Friday, but next Friday. The 23rd is when games start, and who knows? I might have a high school football guest later on in the week. But yeah, we appreciate you being a Tolo. That stands for Turn It On, Leave It On. And we will talk a lot of high school football during the fall. Texter 803. When you blow a 29-0 lead at home to an awful Stanford, you should be prepared for a bad ranking. That comes from a Texter 803. You can text the show anytime. 71307. Start your text with the word fan. We'll continue the debate, but it's a different debate next. This debate, I believe, has been put to bed by Father Time. I'll tell you what debate I'm talking about next.
Any sports takes at the door. All in your man enough.
844 fan phone. This is Wire to Wire with DJ.
Look, I know I'm going to get pushback on this segment, but as I told you earlier, when I believe something to be true, I'm not going to run from it. I'm not going to hide from it. I'm going to tell you just how I feel. And I believe after watching basketball for pretty much my entire life, I believe after watching the Olympics and countless NBA finals over the years, you know how we always say, well, this was the stat that put that debate to bed. Well, I believe I have found the answer on what puts the Michael Jordan, LeBron James debate to bed. Because we all want to talk about after Team USA wins gold this weekend, we all want to talk about the dream team. Team USA was good, Cole, but they weren't the dream team. That's what people say. They weren't the dream team. They weren't the team of the 90, from 92. They were good, but they weren't that guy. They weren't that team. Well, let me tell you this. They might not have been. But I do believe that Father Time is the one statistic that we can't argue against, right? I believe Father Time is the statistic, is the proof that what LeBron has done throughout the Olympics and what LeBron has done throughout his career, even at this age, Father Time's the stat, for me, that puts the Michael Jordan debate to bed. There's one player in the history of basketball to win NBA MVP, NBA Finals MVP, NBA All-Star MVP, NBA in-season MVP, Olympic MVP. Do you know who that one player in the history of basketball is? It's LeBron James. It's not Michael. It's not Shaq. It's not Kobe. It's LeBron. So you can argue with me all you want on rings. You can argue with me all you want on killer instinct, because that's what Michael Jordan enthusiasts love to come at me with all the time. That killer instinct Michael had. You can go to war with me on many different subjects when it comes to LeBron and Michael and the Dream Team versus Team USA. But the proof, the statistic of Father Time cannot be denied. I don't care how big of a Michael Jordan fan you may be. What Father Time has told us is that eventually bodies wear down. Eventually, players can't perform the same way they did when they were younger. Father Time has shown us that the best of the best, the GOATs, can't do it forever. Father Time has shown us that Tom Brady can't play forever, that Michael can't play forever, right? Father Time has shown us that LeBron James is the only player in the history of basketball to play at this high of a level at this age. Almost 40 years old, and he still looks like he's not far out of his prime. He was consistent throughout the Olympics. Yeah, he won the MVP, and I said that Steph Curry, I thought, should have won it because of his last two games. But to the texter's point earlier, LeBron was consistent throughout the games. And even as he's gotten older in age, he continues to be as impactful as anybody else surrounding him in the league. So if you want to argue with me on championship rings, that's fine. If you want to argue with me on flopping, Michael didn't flop. That's what people say. Michael Jordan didn't flop, which is not true. Michael Jordan didn't complain to the referees. That's what people tell me. He didn't complain like LeBron complains. LeBron just complains and complains and complains. That's what people tell me all the time is Michael would never do that. Well, obviously, y'all didn't watch Michael Jordan because there was plenty of complaining to go around. So my point is, you can argue with me on any of those statistics that you want. And guess what? You have a fair argument, especially when it comes to rings. Especially when it comes to rings. Rings do matter. He has 6. LeBron has 4. Rings aren't all that matters for me. But Father Time has shown us that nobody in the history of basketball has done what LeBron James has done. I thought this Team USA was very good in the Olympics. Did they beat teams by 30, 40 points? No. Did they all score 20 points apiece? No. But I'm here to tell you this. You can't just always throw superstars together and expect them to blow everybody out. Newsflash, the big 3 in Brooklyn did not work. Newsflash, James Harden, for as good as teams as he's been on, hasn't worked. Hasn't won a championship. I thought Team USA was good. Were they the dream team? Well, as I told you earlier, when LeBron James and Team USA played these past few weeks, they faced 39 NBA players. 39. When the dream team played in 92, how many did they face? How many NBA players did the dream team face in 92? The answer to that would be 9. It's a big difference. Basketball is better today than it's ever been. Players are more athletic than they've ever been. So don't try to convince me that the dream team was in the same situation that this team is in now. Texter from the 504 chimes in. I welcome all text, good or bad, agree or disagree. Texter says, you do not know basketball, Cole. Longevity does not equal the GOAT. There's 4 players to win regular season scoring titles, led playoff in scoring. Let me click on the rest of the text so I can try to find it. Regular season MVP, finals MVP, and named to all defensive team all in the same season. Those 4 players are Jordan. GOAT is all-around great player. You can't go that far. I didn't mention rings. So 504, number 1, I appreciate you texting into the show. Appreciate you being a Tolo. That stands for turn it on, leave it on. Number 2, it appears that you are a hardcore Michael Jordan enthusiast. Nothing wrong with that. I love it. I'm here to tell you this. I love Michael Jordan. But for whatever reason, texter, people think if I choose one or the other, I despise the other. It's not true. I love LeBron, but I also love Michael. How can you not love Michael Jordan? How can you, texter, watch The Last Dance that came out in 2020 and not absolutely love Michael Jordan? You just can't do it. But to your point, I disagree with what you said there. And I'll tell you why. You gave me 4 categories, right? And you said those 4 players in those categories that lead those categories are Jordan. GOAT's all around great player. I agree with you on that. GOAT is all around great player, right? It is all around. You have to be an all around great player. And that's why 504, I'll tell you this. I think LeBron James is the best all-around player that we've ever had. Could Michael Jordan, and again, if the answer is yes, that's fine. I appreciate your feedback, whether you agree, disagree, think I'm smart, or think I'm an idiot. Could Michael Jordan have played all 5 positions like LeBron has in his career? And I mean all 5. Point guard, all the way down to center. I don't believe that Michael could have been as good as LeBron's been throughout his career at all 5 positions. LeBron can truly play all 5. So when you talk about all-around player, I hear you, but I think LeBron's a better all-around player. Texter chimes in from the 803 and says that defensive player of the year for Jordan is tainted. Well, tell me why, Texter. Tell me why you think it's is tainted. Love to hear from you. Appreciate you texting the show as well. Again, I want to be very clear. The Dream Team was really, really good. But you can't argue with me when it comes to the fact that who they were playing against doesn't compare to who Team USA played against this year, right? I'm not saying South Sudan was star-studded and stacked and USA shouldn't have whooped them, because USA was favored by, 30 points? Something like that. They were heavily favored over South Sudan and struggled mightily. But I'll just tell you this. You threw a bunch of players together, and they're going against good talent, and they won gold. What else do you want? Shaq said he's not impressed because they didn't win by 20 or more. I think that's lazy. Shaq, you're better than that. Just because they didn't win by 20 or more, Shaq says, nah, I'm good. We'll continue the conversation, as well as I have a question for you regarding which football game you could attend this fall, cost aside. Put money to the side. I will continue to get your thoughts in on the conversation we're having now, as well as open the phone lines, 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-326-3663. Welcome your thoughts on this and more. This is the Fan Upstate. I'll keep it here during this break stream chat, since we hadn't talked much today. Michael, Madcraft, what are you talking about? Michael won multiple of these awards. What do you mean by that? Tell me what you mean, Madcraft, so I can understand you better. I'll keep it open on this break. I won't send it to the screen so you can chime in. What's up, Wesley? Appreciate you being here, man. JD, you still there? Who else is still there? Who else is in the chat? Who we got? Show yourself.
Roster move for the Panthers on Sunday. They waived kicker Harrison Mevis, leaving Eddie Pinheiro as the only kicker on the roster. The Panthers host the Jets in preseason action this coming Saturday. NASCAR Cup Series Sunday at Richmond. Austin Dillon spun out Joey Logano on the final lap in overtime to take the checkered flag.
Let's get that one up on Emperor Wave. JB. The GOAT debate to me ends with Jordan 1, Kobe 2. That's crazy, JB. You can't put LeBron at 4. You kidding me, man? That's so disrespectful. So disrespectful. How you put LeBron at 4? Come on. Come on. That's terrible. How much time, Ben?
Hey, it's Rob Bryson. I've dropped over 43 pounds and 10 inches off of my waistline. The new life weight loss
2.5.
2.5.
Cool.
So
Been the
call them
Eagles
between now and
15.
August 31st.
Sweet.
They will give you $250 off the program.
What are you laughing at, Madcraft? My response to JB? Spur Daddy, whatever his name is? I still can't get used to JB. That's weird to me. I'll listen, I'm good with it. I like your profile pic, JB, but come on, man. Wesley says we've had some wild callers and textures today. You know how people are. You know how people are. As soon as we go to break, I get more text in. I'll probably keep it here. I probably won't change the conversation. I'll keep it here. I got 5 texts during the break. I'll keep it on the LeBron Michael talk. JB says rings, Cole, and those guys winning percentages. So, come on, bro. Come on, JB. So you only base the GOAT off of rings. Do you truly believe Bill Russell's a better basketball player than LeBron James, JB? Do you truly believe that in your heart of hearts? Answer me that. Because I don't. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Y'all discount what he's done because he's lost in the finals. I think that's cheap, man. It's cheap. You going to start a franchise, you're going to take Bill Russell. I'll take LeBron. Come on.
You got a minute left. I'm going to bring you in.
Okay. Perfect.
This is for Laz from Upper Hand Fantasy. Zach are here to get you ready for your fantasy football drafts with insights and advice.
JB, you going to Burns games this year?
We've got you covered. And keep the upper hand on your friends.
Since you got a Rebel profile pick?
So join us and stay ahead of the competition. Follow and listen to Upper Hand Fantasy Fantasy on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Summer's just getting started, so fill your cooler with the smooth and refreshing taste of Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. It tastes like real iced tea because it's made with real brewed tea. And with a 5% kick of alcohol, Twisted Tea is perfect for the beach,
How much?
or wherever you're hanging out
10.
and day drinking with your friends. Look at the bright yellow cans. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Keep it twisted.
11 rings says a lot. Who do you play against? How many teams were in the NBA, JB, when he won those 11 rings? Come on, man. No need to change the subject because I've got you guys fired up. Text line during the break blowing up. So we'll keep it right here on this Dream Team versus Team USA, LeBron, Jordan. We'll talk about it. We'll keep it going because I know you guys are fired up. And if you're above the age of what? 35, you're a never LeBron guy, right? Is that the way it operates? Is that the way this thing works? If you're above a certain age, there's no way you can say you're a LeBron guy. It might be. And if it does, that's okay. Just admit it. Say, yeah, look, man, I'm 38. I'm a never LeBron guy. I get it. JB says on the stream, the GOAT debate to me ends with Jordan 1, Kobe 2, Russell 3, and LeBron 4. JB, that's crazy to me. Crazy to put Bill Russell ahead of LeBron. But guess what? You can put who you want, buddy. It's your list. All right, let's go back to the text line because the text line was quite ferocious during the break. Cole's an idiot, you know. Who could ever say that LeBron and Team USA already good? They didn't beat teams by 20. I'm just kidding. Texter 201. Texter says Jordan could have played longer if he had load management. LeBron sat out more games than Jordan's ever missed. Oh, here we go. So those games that LeBron sat out. By the way, Texter, I want to know this. How many games did LeBron play last season? At almost dang near 40 years old. LeBron James played in 71 games last year. Is 71 games load management at 40 years old? Come on. Is it? Because I don't think it is. Texter from the 504 says, name one player on the 2024 team that plays defense, flopped to his prime, quit, walked out before games were over. He's a quitter, and he will never be considered the GOAT, especially if the PED stuff is true. That comes from the 504. Texter, we appreciate you listening. Let's see. 803. Defensive Player of the Year. Those games have been restatted. Jordan received padded stats during home games at a higher clip than normal. Okay. May have. Maybe you're right. Another texter says Jordan was me first and team second. LeBron is team first and me second. So I'm not the only one in the audience that's defending LeBron James, right? It seems as if others are. JB says on the stream on YouTube, I'm an old fart, Cole. I'm 48. You have to figure that this Olympic team did play against countries with pro players on the other side. You can't say that about the 92 Dream Team. Well, that's my point, JB. That's my point. Some really good players they played against. Really good players. 407 says, as a Knicks fan, I hate them both, but LeBron can't carry his jockstrap. And I guess by his, you mean Michael. I get it. I understand. We have an audience that's, 30 years and older for the most part. I know we have a lot of young Tolos out there like myself, but, I'm telling you like I see it, man. I'm telling you like I see it. I'm not a hater. I appreciate greatness. And am I a LeBron guy? Sure. Have I always been a LeBron guy? Yes. Do I think he's the GOAT? Yes. I think the Dream Team in 92, for as good as they were, again, they played 9 NBA players. My whole point is, I think Father Time has shown that LeBron is one of the players, one of the guys that the good Lord made that just are built different. That's my opinion. He's built different, man. Not everybody's built and made the way he is. He's just a different animal. Like I said, when he was made, it's not many made like him. Not many people's bodies can go for as long as his has. And I like Michael Jordan. I have always liked Michael. When I watched the Last Dance documentary, I think I fell in love with Michael's career even more. I love Michael Jordan and what he did for the game. He really transformed the game and brought eyes to the game like we've never seen before. I get that. But I think when it comes to Father Time has shown us that LeBron has defeated that Father Time, that exact premise of you can only play till you're 35. He's defeated that narrative in a way that nobody's ever done before. We've never seen that before. Last text, and then we'll run because we got to hit a break. Texter from the 640 says there are videos that show the 92 team played garbage teams. This team would have smoked any of those teams by the same amount. I would have loved, let me click on the text so I can see the rest. I would have loved to have seen Jordan and that dream team play the caliber teams that this team played. LeBron's the GOAT. He's still averaging 28 to 30 at this age. Bullwinkle. I agree with you, man. I agree with you. Texter says, remember, Jordan played all 82 games at age 39 with a bad knee. How good, Texter from the 504, that year you're talking about, how good was Michael? Did Michael put up anywhere close to the same numbers at that age that LeBron did? I don't think so. I don't think. Could be wrong, but I don't think so. All right, NFL preseason. Wrapped up week 1 this past weekend. We'll do an NFL preseason week 1 wraparound. I have some audio for you as well and give you my thoughts on what I saw, all coming up next.
This is Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cold Bryson.
I get that. But you got to be patient. The regular season's almost here, man. Only 2 more weeks of this preseason stuff, and we'll get out of here. We'll get out of the preseason, then we'll be in the regular season like we all want, like we all wish. So it was a good NFL preseason weekend, in my opinion. I know the Panthers didn't win. Bryce Young didn't play. A lot of people are upset about that. I'm not. Preseason's preseason. I don't think you lose anything by not playing Bryce Young this past weekend. So, I want to do a little NFL preseason wraparound. I have 2 cuts of audio that I'm going to get here in just a second. Ben doing a great job. Ben is new here at Odyssey Greenville, doing a good job on the 1s and 2s across the way from me, making me sound a lot better than I am. But as we know, the preseason week 1 started back on Thursday, where the Patriots defeated the Panthers 17-3. The Giants defeated the Lions that night 14-3. However, even though we didn't get a Bryce Young storyline, even though we didn't get to hear or see Bryce Young, there were some good storylines this weekend. Did you see what the former Georgia Bulldog did last night against my Cowboys? Stetson Bennett. Did you see that? Only the Dallas Cowboys, only my Cowboys could lose in a way they did last night. Stetson Bennett with the Los Angeles Rams throws 4, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 interceptions against my Cowboys. What are you supposed to do when you get interceptions, Mike Zimmer? Dallas. Last I checked, you're supposed to capitalize on those interceptions, right? My Cowboys did not do that. They didn't score a touchdown all night. So Stetson Bennett, after throwing 4 interceptions, throws the game-winning touchdown to beat my pitiful Dallas Cowboys in the last game of the NFL preseason yesterday. The Rams beat the Cowboys 13-12. It was pitiful. It's what I'm used to. I'm not surprised by it anymore. But certain players, like Clemson's Tyler Davis, looked really good. Will Shipley caught a touchdown pass. Did you see that? How about Will Shipley finding the end zone? I want to go, Ben, to cut number 5. This is Sean McVay on the mic live last night talking about Clemson's Tyler Davis.
And we never got 4. Maybe sure.
We'll get to cut 4 in a few minutes, but that Sean McVay, by the way, Sean McVay, whenever he retires, with that enthusiasm, I mean, come on. Go ahead and give him a mic and put him on with Tom Brady or sideline analyst. I mean, are you kidding me? Sean McVay might have the broadcast journalism career lined up on a tee, if you will. He's really good. Tyler Davis, who fell, in my opinion, way, way lower than he should have fallen. Had a good game yesterday. Caleb Williams. I know Diesel, when he gets back from vacation, will be upset for me to tell you, but Caleb Williams, a few bright spots for the old rook, right? Didn't look bad. And then how about yesterday, the Denver Broncos scoring 34 points in a preseason game? Well, who scored that many points? Guess what? Bo Nix was a part of it. He threw a touchdown pass. Bo Nix showed a lot of upside yesterday. 15 of 21 for the rook. 125 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Quarterback rating of 102.3. Jared Stidham also threw a touchdown pass, but the Broncos look good. I know it's preseason, but it's still. And then guess who else shined this weekend? Not only did Tyler Davis of Clemson look good, not only did Will Shipley find the end zone for the Philadelphia Eagles in the preseason. Guess who showed out in one of his only chances? Didn't have many snaps. I think he took 20 snaps total for the Saints. But that's right. Spencer Rattler, baby, on the leg, with his legs rather, scoring a touchdown. Getting his first NFL touchdown, Spencer Rattler He was, I believe, it was an 8-yard touchdown for the Saints. He was 9 of 17 through the air, 70 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. No Saints quarterback threw a touchdown, but Rattler scored one with his legs. So Rattler was really good in the moments that he had. I think that's big for him, just showing that speed and him able to get to the outside like he did. Was impressed by that. And then Caleb Williams, man, here's cut 4. He looked pretty good. Threw it across his chest like a shot put almost. I mean, come on. How about the high praise there for Caleb Williams? You know, I thought he had a good day. It wasn't terrible. Still a lot to improve on. There's going to be a lot that they have to improve on. Even though they do have talent, do the Chicago Bears, as I'm talking about, they're still a long way from where they need to be, right? Caleb Williams was 4 of 7, 95 yards. Averaged just over 13 yards per play. He didn't score a touchdown, but he did have one run for 13 yards. Had some nice completions. Didn't see the field a ton. But yeah, the Bears, they got a win. Let's see who else. Houston Texans over the weekends defeated the Steelers 20-12. CJ Stroud only 4 snaps. Davis Mills took most of the snaps there. And then I thought one of the most interesting storylines. I'm so fascinated by this. But Atlanta lost to Miami 20-13. Michael Penix Jr. looked good. No touchdowns, but he had some nice completions, 9 of 16, 104 yards. I think Michael Penix is going to be talked about a lot. And here's what's bad. When you talk about Michael Penix and Kirk Cousins in Atlanta, once the preseason is over, I don't think we're going to be seeing as much and hearing as much about Michael Penix because, barring an injury, Kirk's going to be the guy, right? However, if Kirk somehow gets hurt and we have to see Michael, you remember, I don't know if you remember this or not. I'm a Cowboys fan, so obviously I do, but when Tony Romo got hurt back in 2016, was it? 2016? And Dak Prescott came in, and this has happened before. This happened with Tom Brady and Drew Bledsoe. But when Dak Prescott came in for the injured Tony Romo, what did he do? He took his job, and he sent old Tony Romo packing. But what's fascinating about this is I don't know if that same situation can happen in Atlanta because of the contract that Kirk Cousins has. And that's I guess it's sad for a guy like Michael Penix because if Kirk was on like the last year of his deal or something like that, and maybe Kirk Cousins gets hurt, Michael Penix beats him out, maybe they could, just say, Kirk, we think it's best if you go ahead and walk away. However, Kirk Cousins, what did he do this past spring? He signed a 4-year contract extension for $180 million, $50 million signing bonus. So that makes the situation very unique because if he did go down and Michael Penix came in and showed out, I don't know that Michael Penix could win the job unless Kirk just says, look, I'll retire. I'll walk. It makes it fat. That contract extension is one of the more bizarre contract extensions I think I've ever seen in the NFL. I mean, it's so bizarre. So it'll be interesting to follow that. I'm high on Michael Penix Jr. I think he's going to do a really good job for the Falcons if he gets the chance. But big if there, right? If he gets the chance. Trevor Lawrence, we didn't see much of him. 3 of 4, 1 touchdown, 42 yards. Didn't see much of Patrick Mahomes in that game. 3 of 4, 27 yards. Madcraft on the stream says J.J. McCarthy had a decent showing. He did. He did. You know what? He had a better showing than I thought he would. He was one of the rookies, Madcraft, that I was a little skeptical on, that I was a little worried about because of the situation he was in. I don't think many people are going to make bones about it. He's the starter, but we just didn't know how he would fit in that Vikings offense. McCarthy yesterday, 11 of 17, 188 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did throw a pick, but he got a lot of reps. So here's my question. And Diesel and I went back and forth on this last week. And unfortunately, with him on vacation, I don't have anybody to debate on this, but you can get your thoughts in 71307. I'd be more than happy to put you on air if you want to debate it. Phone lines open, 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-326-3663. What I don't get is why people were upset with Bryce Young not playing. So like Diesel and I were talking about it last week. I said, I think they're making the right decision holding him out. What do you have to gain? Well, people told me, Diesel said, other people have said, at least let him get 1 or 2 series. Okay. Well, let me ask you this question. Let's go to the Chiefs game. And I know Patrick Mahomes is a seasoned quarterback, so you really can't use him as an example here. But a guy like Trevor Lawrence, 3 of 4, 42 yards and a touchdown. He took 4 snaps for the Jaguars. Do you think Trevor Lawrence is in a better position now because he took 4 snaps yesterday than he was before? 4 snaps is what we're talking about here. You can get 4 snaps in practice and a joint practice. I don't know that throwing Bryce Young out there for a drive or 2 benefits him more than, or benefits him as much as people thinks it does. Does Bryce Young need reps? Sure. But at the same time, you don't want Bryce Young out there with a bunch of 2s and 3s taking unnecessary reps, having a chance to get hurt, having a chance to lower his confidence. You know, we talk about reps a lot. People say they need reps. And people, for the most part, people are right. Reps are a good thing. However, there's also such a thing as unnecessary reps. And I think that's why Dave Canales decided to hold Bryce Young out on Thursday, and I think he made the right decision. I think putting him out there would have been considered unnecessary reps. Trevor Lawrence getting 4 reps in my mind doesn't put him in a better position for next week or for the regular season. And I know Trevor's been in the league a few more years than Bryce Young has, but still, how many snaps did Aaron Rodgers take this past weekend? That's my point. I just don't know. He's a seasoned guy. I don't know that it benefits him a ton. Let's take the Saints, for example. Spencer Rattler, he took 17 snaps. He was 9 of 17. I think he's a guy that is still on the edge of making the roster. Bryce Young isn't on the edge of making the roster. The point of the preseason is to see who's going to be on the roster when they make the cut and who's not going to be on the roster when they make the cut, right? That's the point of the preseason. You can get reps. You can get reps a plethora of reps in practice. Bryce Young's going to have time to get plenty of reps, is my point. Throwing him out there for a pointless drive or 2 isn't going to really do a lot in my mind. Does he need to get better on things? Sure. But I'd rather have him out there for meaningful reps than throw him out there with a bunch of 2s and 3s that he doesn't have chemistry with. Look, he's built chemistry all offseason with the ones. He's built chemistry with guys like Johnson. We've heard reports that he's getting really confident with certain receivers. So why throw him out there with a bunch of dudes that he's not confident with, that he hasn't made connections with on the field, and risk injury? Risk anything. Risk him getting risk throwing Bryce Young out there and having his confidence knocked down a notch. I don't want to risk that if I'm a Panthers fan. I don't see the need to have him out there. That's my point. Yes, I understand that he needs reps, but he's gotten a lot of reps between the start of training camp and now. That's all they do is get reps. That's the point of training camp, is to get reps, right? So I think Bryce Young in this new offense, you may see him at some point in the preseason. I don't know if Dave Canales is going to throw him out there for a whole quarter. I wouldn't. I don't see the point of it. I don't see it being a necessity. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm pulling for Bryce, man. I saw it, like I said last week, I saw what Bryce Young was able to do at Alabama. And there's too much there, too much meat on the bone for me to throw him out with the Wolves. A couple of programming notes before we run. Number one, Panthers, excuse me, here I am talking about the Panthers. Let me back up. Try that again. The Paladins Fan Fest. This Saturday, if you and the family are looking for something to do, the Furman Fan Fest is Saturday, August 17th. The best part about this event Saturday at Furman is it's a free event. Again, this Saturday, August 17th, gates open at noon. The team will take the field to scrimmage at 1. You can watch some Furman Paladin football. We had a couple of texters earlier talking about Furman being ranked in the preseason poll in FCS, and you're right. We carry Furman here on the Fan Upstate. Concessions will be available Saturday. Post-scrimmage autograph session with the team on the field. Go check it out Saturday, the Furman Fan Fest. A few other programming notes that I want to tell you about before we run. Wednesday, I'm asking a favor of our Tolos on Wednesday that live in Greenville. If you are in Greenville and you're a listener of this show, you're a Tolo, that stands for Turn It On, Leave It On. I'm asking you to come out and join me on Wednesday from 3 to 7. I will be at Local Q right here in Greenville. Local Q is one of the many establishments that's having to adjust their business model after the liquor liability insurance policy dropped a few months ago here in the state of South Carolina. So someone here in the community has us out there, and I'm not going to get into the whole story now, but made a very generous donation to Local Q to get us out there on Wednesday. And I'm inviting you to come out there and show support as well to the owner and to the establishment. Come join me on Wednesday. Stay for as long as you can. Again, I will be at Local Q on Wednesday. And then Saturday, the Saturday morning scramble. That's right. It's back for year number 6. If you're a Tolo, if you've listened to this station, you know on Saturday mornings during the fall, high school football gets a lot of talk, gets a lot of conversation. 2 hours every Saturday, Saturday morning scramble, 8 to 10 a.m. We will be live this Saturday at Ingalls on Warren Abernathy Highway in Spartanburg. And then the following Friday, Burns football back on these airwaves. And not long after that, Furman football, as you heard the promo with Dan Scott earlier today. Ole Miss, how about that? I mean, come on, talk about a challenge. And then we will have Clay Hendricks on this very show every Thursday at 6 p.m., getting closer to the season. So football's here, a ton coming up on Wire to Wire. We're going to have the best coverage possible right here in the Upstate. We hope you stick around for it. We will have a conversation for you next that I had earlier in the show, and I mean very early in the show, in the 3 o'clock hour with Jeff Farrington, the head football coach in North Greenville. Talk a little D2 football next on the Fan Upstate.
At times, a very tough conference you're in. Talk about what you learned from last year and how you and the coaching staff plan to attack this year in a new, fresh way.
You knew that last hour didn't have any breaks.
I guess just a disappointing end
Huh?
to the
The
season.
last hour didn't have any breaks.
What do you mean?
Well,
At times,
we actually felt like we made lots of strides
last year and how you and the
excited
coaching
about
staff
where we're
plan to
headed.
attack
program whatsoever. So I do think it's a complete turnaround from nothing and almost a miracle.
Military.
Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson.
Turn on, leave on. Afternoons 3 to 7 on the Fan Upstate. It comes to the it's not listen to the Fan Upstate on Odyssey, no matter where you are, in the car, at home, at work. The free search the Fan Upstate.
Exit.
Upstate.
Eagle Smartphone Studio.
Your ticket to the best local sports. 97.7 FM Radio, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, always streaming wherever you are on the Odyssey.
Upstate.
You're listening to the underground of sports talk radio, where we're not afraid to get dirty.
It's Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
Final segment of the show coming your way. So glad to be with you on this Monday. Appreciate you being with me. 71307. Save that number in your phone. That way you can text the fan whenever you would like. Just start your text with the word FAN, F-A-N. That way we will see your message. I had a couple of texts earlier about high school football. High school football just a few weeks away now. Actually, less than a few weeks. Next Friday, the 23rd, is officially week 0, Saturday Scramble. The best high school football coverage you'll get on a Saturday morning lives right here on the Fan Upstate. That begins this Saturday. We will be live. Alex Guest and myself will be at Ingalls on Warren Abernathy Highway over in Spartanburg, and we will be joined live in person by Dorman head football coach Jake Morris, as well as a few of his players. So a big show lined up if you're a high school football fan. Hope you can join us on Saturday for that. I did get to see some scrimmages on Friday night. I know that there are several going on tonight as well. Hillcrest and Dorman are playing here in just a few minutes if they have not started already. And then Friday, I got to see several Tolos in Union. That's right. Did you know that we have Tolos, listeners of the show, in Union, South Carolina? And I know our frequency gets spotty out that way and past Union, but people listen on the free Odyssey app. That's where you should listen. Friday, I got to go over to Union after the show and see Northwestern JL Man Friday night, as well as, York versus Chester. And then the last game was Union County versus Lawrence. Greg Porter taking over at Lawrence. Really exciting to see what he's going to do this year at Lawrence. What's interesting is Greg Porter at Greenville High School did not run this type of offense. He was a spread guy. Now at Lawrence, with Adams Dean as his OC, Greg Porter is running a double wing. That's right, a double wing. So Friday night when I saw Lawrence and Union County, I was surprised to see Greg Porter running that double wing, run-heavy style offense. So it's going to be a great high school football season. A lot coming your way. Burns football obviously airs right here on the Fan Upstate, and I want you to be a part of it all. Scotty from BMW says, great solo job today. Scotty, appreciate you, man. Thanks for being a Tolo and turning it on and leaving it on. I want to get to a few daily wires before we wrap up the program. The Atlanta Braves, this past weekend, they did what the Braves do best and lost 2 of 3 to the Rockies. They are now 60-55. They play tonight at 9:45 against San Francisco. I said earlier in the show that the Braves game should be at 12 o'clock every day. Now that they suck, 12 o'clock, either noon or midnight. They pick which one they want to play, noon or midnight, from here on out for the Braves, because they don't care about winning, so why should we care about watching them? That's your Atlanta Braves recap. The USA women's team defeated France yesterday to win the gold medal, 67-66, a fantastic showing by the women. And the men also defeated France on Saturday to win the gold medal, 98-77. Steph Curry led the team with 24 points. Fantastic showing for in the last 2 games from him. A bad blow to an SEC running back that was expected to see a lot of playing time. Texas A&M running back Reuben Owens is expected to miss the season after suffering a significant lower body injury during a scrimmage on Saturday, sources tell ESPN. If you watched the race last night, I know that not everybody's a NASCAR fan. I'm not the biggest NASCAR guy, but I'll watch here and there. We cover it. We talk to Shane Connick on Fridays, who does a fantastic job for the Charlotte Observer. But last night, Austin Dillon won in Richmond, but I use the term won lightly. Austin Dillon was third on the last lap. He was running third, and in order to get the win, he ran up into the end of Denny Hamlin. Excuse me. He ran up into the end of Joey Logano, and then he moved into second. Denny Hamlin was in first. So what does he do to Denny? Well, he decides, hey, I just go take Denny out as well, hit him in the right rear, spun him out. It was not good. It was not a good look for NASCAR. I don't know if any penalties will come from it at all, but I'll tell you this. What happened last night wasn't racing. Having to wreck the entire field to get a win. And I know what people say. Austin Dillon, he needed the puncher's ticket to get into the playoffs. He needed to get in. He had to do whatever he could do. I had somebody this morning tell me, Austin Dillon last night had to do whatever it took to get in. I said, well, that's a terrible excuse. If I have some bills to pay tomorrow and I go rob a bank tonight, I don't think I can talk my way out of it with Greenville PD and say, well, I had these bills to pay and they're due tomorrow and I did what I had to do. Austin Dillon last night, it was childish. It was very, very childish. Joey Logano let him have it in the interview after the race, and I absolutely agree with Joey Logano. And I know Joey Logano hasn't been the same guy, hasn't been the same driver, if you will, ever since he left Team Penske. Hadn't won in a while. I get it. But that was Bush League to the T last night by Austin Dillon. If you can't beat them, wreck them. That's the new saying. That's the new motto for Austin Dillon. And lastly, the United States came out on top in the Olympic medal count in Paris with a stunning total of 126 medals, including 40 gold. So the USA on top. The Olympics are over. I don't know if you watched the closing ceremonies last night. If you did, let me know. 71307, start your text with the word fan. I will tell you this. I flipped it over to the closing ceremonies just to take a peek, right? I was like, okay, closing ceremonies are on. Let's watch. Let's see what's. I don't think I left it on there for a minute. I don't think it was on there for 60 seconds. Whatever it was that I saw, I was not entertained by. And you know me, I've said it multiple times throughout the past few weeks. I'm not the biggest Olympics guy. Obviously, I'll watch the basketball portion of it because I'm a basketball guy. I love the NBA. But the Olympics as a whole don't move the meter for me. And, I know a lot of people it does. I know a lot of people get so excited about the Olympics. But I'll be honest with you, it never has moved the meter for me. And, of course, I follow it, but I just don't get excited about it. I don't get excited about it. I think there's other people out there like that too. They're great. Yeah, we pull for our country. Yeah. We want to win. Have the medal count. I get it. But let's not act like it's the best thing in the world. I can name 5 other sporting events that are better than the Olympics, okay? Sorry. Call me unpatriotic, whatever you want to call me. Programming note. I mentioned this in the last hour. Real quick, I want to get to this comment by DB before the programming note. DB says the Tom Cruise part at the end was cool to see. At the end of what? The Olympics last night? The closing ceremony? Is that what you're talking about, DB? I missed that. Again, I didn't leave it on for like a minute and wasn't entertained, so I turned the channel. I've been on a football frenzy lately, DB. By the way, appreciate you watching on YouTube on the stream, DB. I'll tell you this. The past week and a half, 2 weeks, at night, normally you're scrolling through, watching whatever's on. I have had the past, let's call it week and a half, I've had the worst football fever that I've had in a long time. I mean, every night for the past week and a half, I've watched a rerun of some game, whether it be pro, college, or high school. It's been on my TV, and man, I have. I'm starving for it. I'm ready for it. I love it at all three levels, and I'll be honest with you, I haven't watched much of anything else as of late. DB says yes, he took the flag out of the stadium, and then it was pre-recorded or it was pre-produced movie-like sequence to drop the flag off in L.A. Oh, so he took it from Paris to L.A. is what you're saying? See, I didn't see that. If I would have seen that, I probably would have enjoyed that. But, again, I'm just not the Olympics guy. I'm not rah-rah Team Olympics. That's not me. I'll watch, but I know that 2028 it will be in L.A. That'd be cool. It would be cool to go to an Olympic event. Not that I would pay for it. The company would send, right? Not going to pay for Olympics. I'm not going to pay to go see the Olympics. Sorry, I'm not going to do it. They're free on my TV. I don't even watch half the time on TV. The programming note that I was going to get to. Shane Beamer. You know him? You ever heard of him? Head football coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks. Shane Beamer joins me on Wire to Wire Friday at 3 p.m. Well, you say the show starts at 3 p.m. That's right. It does start at 3 p.m. Well, when Shane Beamer says I can do 3 p.m., guess what? You do 3 p.m. And we'll start the show off with a bang on Friday. Head football coach of the Gamecocks joining us. So if you want to get a question in for Coach Beamer, you have all week to do so. I say all week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then your time's up. Speaking of time being up, my time is up for today. Appreciate you being a part of the show. Appreciate Ben making me sound a lot better than I am. Ben is new here at Odyssey, doing a good job running the board. Appreciate him as well. He'll be with me all week. I'll be a reminder, I'll be at Local Q on Wednesday and be back with you tomorrow right here on the Fan Upstate. Appreciate it, stream.
Always streaming on the free Odyssey app. Search the Fan Upstate, and you're wired to Diesel and Cole Bryson on Wire to Wire.
On the Fan Upstate.
See you guys. Y'all have a good one. TV, funny comment. I see that. Funny. Hey, not the same people here anymore, you know? I keep my relationships healthy, you know what I mean? See you guys tomorrow. Thanks for joining me.
Start your journey with Founders.